The next step in our fractions unit is multiplying fractions. What we're going to start with is talking about models of multiplying fractions and what happens when we multiply two fractions together. When we multiply fractions, the multiply sign is represented by the word of. So for example, if we needed to find 3/4 of 1/3, obviously that's not going to be all of the 1/3. It's going to be 3/4 of the 1/3. So when we make a model, we're going to start out by drawing our 1/3 that we have to find 3/4 of. So we draw a box and separate it into 3 different sections. Separate in equal sections. All right, and then so this would be our box here. And then we're going to divide that into fourths. Okay, so now we have our thirds, and our thirds have been divided into fourths so that we can find 3/4 of 1/3. The next step then is to select 3/4 of 1/3. So what we're going to do is I'm going to shade of my thirds up here. If I wanted to shade 1/3 of that, and I'm going to transfer that shading all the way down, and I know I can't color right with this board that I'm using, but it's okay. I'm going to shade 1/3 out of every picture. So using my horizontal lines and my terrible coloring skills, I am going to shade 1/3 of each of those pictures. Now, the ones that I have also separated into fourths, I'm going to shade 3/4 of that, but I'm going to do it in a different color so you can see. Okay, so here's my fourths. I'm going to shade 3 of them. Okay, also down here, shade 3 of them. Now where the colors overlap, that's the answer to my problem. So the colors overlap, and this, once again, this little board is hard to use with coloring. Okay, so my colors overlap there. And also down here on this picture, okay, 3 boxes. 3 boxes overlap. So now I have to figure out how much of this entire picture is these 3 boxes. So when I count out the number of boxes in the picture, it's 12. 3 of those have been double shaded. So my answer to 1/3 times 3/4 is going to be 3 out of 12 or 1/4. So this is the model of why your fractions get smaller when you multiply two fractions together. So using our grid paper and 2 highlighters or 2 different colors, I want you to model the product of each set of fractions and then simplify your answer. And I'm going to do one more with you, and then you can do 2 and 3 on your own. So for 2/3 times 1/2, first I'm going to split, I'm going to make it 2/3 on this side. So I have to separate these rows into thirds. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. That means I need 2 rows in every set of thirds. Getting better at this. Look at this, almost straight lines. And then for the up and down part over here, I'm going to split this in half on this side. So I'm going to have 3 columns in each half. All right. So now I've split up. I've split my rows into 2/3 and my columns in half. So now I have to, I'm sorry, I split my rows into thirds, not 2/3. Now I have to color 2/3 of my rows. So that'd be 2 sections of my rows I'm going to color. Okay. And then I'm going to color half of my columns. That would be these 2. Okay, so I've colored 2/3 of my rows and half of my columns, and now I'm going to mark out where they overlap. So they overlap right here. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 squares. So that's 12 out of, let's see, this is 6 by 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. 12 out of 36 squares. So now I just need to simplify that, and I can divide by 12 on both numbers. That'll give me 1/3. 1/3 is the answer to 2/3 times 1/2. So basically we're saying half of 2/3. Half of 2/3 is 1/3. All right, so you're going to try number 2 and number 3 for the modeling on that. Now, mathematically, when we're multiplying fractions, all we're doing is multiplying the numerators together and multiplying the denominators together, and then simplifying the answer. We can also cross-simplify when possible. So for example, if I had 2/3 times 1/8, my numbers that are crisscross from each other, the 2 and the 8, I could divide both of them by 2, so that would make it 1/4. Then when I multiply 1 and 4, when I multiply, it'd be 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 4 is 12. Now, if I hadn't done my cross simplifying, I would have 2/3 times 1/8. That would be 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 8 is 24, and then I would divide by 2 at the end to make 1/12. You're still going to get the same answer if you don't cross simplify, but your multiplication and simplification is much easier if you do cross simplify. So I'll show you a few examples of those as we go here. We're going to practice here. I'm going to do 2 of these for you, and then I will have you finish the rest on your own. Now there are some positives and negatives here. You are going to do 1/3 times 5/6 on your own. Multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators, and simplify. Now, for whole numbers, if we're multiplying times a whole number, we are going to have to make our whole number into a fraction. And the way we do that is we put our whole number over 1. So when you're working on number 2 here, it would be -45 over 1 times 4/5. Okay, you'll multiply your numerators and multiply your denominators and then simplify. For problem number 3, I have a mixed number here. This is a mixed number, 6 and 1/2. I can't multiply with a mixed number. I also can't divide with a mixed number. Now you can add and subtract without changing a mixed number. It is possible. Some of you don't like to do it, and that's okay. You'd rather work with impropers. But when you're multiplying and dividing, you must change those mixed numbers to improper before you can do anything with them. So over here, I'm going to end up with 8 as a whole number. That's going to be 8 over 1. Now I'm going to have to change 6 1/2 to an improper fraction before I can multiply. So 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13/2. Okay, now I'm going to look and see, can I cross simplify? Right here, kitty cornered like an X. 1 and 13, 8 and 2. 8 and 2 I can simplify. 13 times 8 is going to be a little more difficult than doing 1 and 4 here. 4 times 13. Okay, so if I do 4 times 13, that's 52 over 1, which simplifies to 52. Okay, that's a whole number over 1. If I had not cross-simplified and I'd done 8 over 1 times 13 over 2, I would end up with 104 over 2, and I would still have to divide by 2 at the end and get 52 over 1, and then 52 as a whole number. Okay, so what I want you to do, this was example number 3 here. You're doing 1 and 4 on your own, and you're finishing number 2, which I started for you. I would also like you to do the word problems on your own, and then we are going to work on multiplying fractions in class tomorrow. or the next time we meet.